Hey, this is Jody. You know, one of the most important parts of this website, baseballhittingsecrets.com, is the mental part of hitting. And the reason it's so important is because that on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're at the professional level, when you're playing games every day, your confidence can erode very, very quickly. It can go down, and when you lose your confidence, you lose your own self-esteem and the ability to hit the ball over and over again. And so, as coaches, if you think about it for a second, if you've known and you've heard before about how much of the game is mental, we've heard a certain percentage, let's say 50%, a lot of people say 70%, 80%. As coaches, ask ourselves the question, or even as individual players, if the game is that much mental, then shouldn't I devote part of my practice time to the mental part of the game? 50%, 20%, 10%, 5%, 2%. How many coaches out there actually devote some time to the mental part of the game? The mental part of the game is absolutely what separates good from great. It's what makes you go from swinger to hitter, okay? So a lot of the stuff that's on this website is geared toward mental toughness and mental resilience. One of the things that one of the great hitters of our time, Tony Gwynn, passed away recently. He and I were together in San Diego. He was a broadcaster while I was a hitter there for a year and a half. And one of the things that he told me after we were kind of chatting by the batting cage was, I asked him a question. You know, I said, Tony, how many hits in a season? How many times do you actually solidly hit the ball where your timing is right on time and you hit the ball right on the screws and it's a straightaway line drive or a straightaway home run where it's unambiguous and there's no miss on timing or on the barrel? How many times does that actually happen? And he looked at me and he said, Jody, in a 600 at-bat season, that only happens 30, 40, 50 times max. So if you think about it, Tony Gwynn is one of the best hitters that ever walked the face of the earth. In 600 at-bats, he was getting 200 hits because he was basically a 330 career hitter, 320 I think. And so that means that three-quarters of the time, his timing wasn't perfect, his contact point on his bat wasn't perfect, and it really illustrates a couple different points. One, hitting is all about increasing the margin for error, but also the best hitter made contact, perfect contact, only 25% of the time, which should give us, as regular people, the green light to say, look, this thing's hard. This is not an easy thing to do. And as you get better, and as the pitchers get better and get more talented and get more control and the stuff gets nastier, look, you got to give yourself some space to say, this thing is hard. This is a really difficult thing to do. And we've got to be able to protect that place in our brains, that place in our heart that says, I'm good at this, I can do this, even in the face of failure. And that's what hitting is all about, the management of failure. And when we incorporate some of the mental aspects, some of the things that are on the site as to how to deal with those things. When we've got a situation, an infrastructure to deal with the failure part of this game, when it comes to hitting, we will be better hitters. We'll be better hitters on the day of the game, but more specifically, we'll be better hitters on the day following, because we haven't lost focus, we haven't lost that edge, we haven't lost that belief that we can hit. It's more important to believe that you can hit than it is to actually hit, because the belief that you can hit will always incorporate the next game. That's why.